back. This video series, we ask women, how do we respond when people or life hurt us? The previous video, we actually looked at God's character, how he longs for us and loves us. We're going to continue that. We're going to look at God's character. I know before I've made statements of, why? When will this end? Well, sometimes I know that our pain is so unbearable that we question God's power as well as his love for us. We may even feel like he abandoned us. Finally, we're going to have that conversation. I know I brought it up before. I kind of teased it just a little bit, and I never talked about it. Guess what? We're going to talk about it today. I think you realize that I enjoy talking about myself a little bit before we get started. I don't want to disappoint. I'm going to talk about myself for a little bit. In the video before, which again, if you haven't watched any of them, go back, watch them, you'll love them. But a video before, I told you guys that I became a computer engineer. Well, I used the wrong words, so I'm going to correct myself. I'm actually a software engineer that builds software on computers. Okay, I just needed to clarify that and clear that up so my conscience won't be beating me up when I feel like I've been lied to everybody. Because I did. It was just an accident. Wrong choice of words. Anyways, since I am in IT, I have many wonderful IT stories. You know, sometimes they don't treat us too well. Nevertheless, one time, a couple of years ago, I ended up getting a new position. It was great. It started off wonderful. I thought I had the coolest boss, so much so that she let us go early on Fridays. So I got in the habit of going to watch me a movie and just easing into my weekend. And I thought, man, what a great job. I get to pay to leave work early to go watch a movie? Oh, I'm in heaven. Unfortunately, that didn't last too long. For some odd reason, everything I touched blew up. And when I say blew up, I mean blew up. I literally pushed the keyboard, touched the keyboard to turn on the computer, and it blacked out. It blew up. And before that, I was actually starting to have a hard time. Before, I was considered myself to be so smart. I worked through my whole I'm not intelligent thing. God filled me with some confidence, and lo and behold, I knew I was smart in IT. Heck, that didn't last long either. After a while, I couldn't grasp the new technology. I took a new position, excited for the new challenges. Unfortunately, those challenges was kicking my butt. So, when my computer blew up, my boss was like, that's it. For some reason, which I sort of kind of don't blame her, she thought I was crazy. She thought I was incompetent. That's that incompetent word again. Anyways, she called me into her office and she said, and she started to question it. And she was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. I was expecting you to come in, do all these great things on our projects, but instead, you pushed a key on the computer and you blew up the computer? And she asked me, she said, are you really trying to sabotage us? And I looked at her and I was like, why would I want to do that? Of course not. I don't understand why all these things are happening to me, because in my mind, I was good. Needless to say, she kept talking to me, and the more she spoke, the more demeaning she became. And then finally, she asked me, are you on drugs? I don't have any other recourse but to think you're on drugs. You got some problems? And I was so shocked that someone talked to me that way, as well as I thought I was the bomb, and I wasn't. So I ended up crying. Yes, I did. Boo-hoo right in front of her. And of course, I felt terrible. Why? I grew up in an environment where you don't cry in front of people. You barely cry on your own, but especially not in front of people. Wow, you weak. In that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, I am weak. I'm gonna leave you with that thought. We're gonna come back to this. There's a reason that I told you this. Now, I said we'll get back to the story, but I actually just wanted to pause so that you can think or consider how would you feel if you were in that situation. I'm confident that you wouldn't have cried. I'm pretty confident of that. But during that situation, I did plead, God, please intervene on my behalf. And if you watch the other videos, you probably notice that's the common response to me. Please redeem me from this situation. I am afflicted. Please help me out. It wasn't until later in life that I read Isaiah 63:9, where Isaiah says that when I'm afflicted, God is afflicted. Yes, did you hear what I said? That when I'm afflicted, God is afflicted. And when I read that, I thought, okay, so God, you're feeling my pain when I'm going through these things? Like you understand what I'm enduring? Yes. And Isaiah continues to state that not only does he feel the pain, but that God's love and tenderness he uses to redeem people. Yes. So in his love and tenderness, God wants to redeem us from the affliction that we're feeling. Really? Still, it took me a while to process this. I said, okay, God, well, if you're feeling my pain and you want to send me love and tenderness, how come you're not doing it sooner? I did have that question. Who wants to endure it? But again, I kept reading. When I read the following verse in 9, I saw that God was furious at people who pursued evil versus righteousness. Yes, he was furious. So much so, he searched for people who would do what was right. And when I read that, it reminded me of my own situation, that he must have been furious that someone didn't pursue good and inflicted pain upon his daughter. Yes, God says that he not only didn't like evil, but he also brought salvation to counteract evil. And we know that that's in Christ. So God had a bigger plan in store. Again, he doesn't like evil. He doesn't condone it. He doesn't want it. He doesn't say, oh, go play in it. No, it makes him angry. So I want you to consider for a moment that God's anger is so that sin does not have power in our lives. Really? Yeah. God is saying, I don't want you to have to be immersed in all these things. And at some point, I will redeem you from it. Even though I wanted God to redeem me right away, and he did not, I want you to know that when I read the scriptures, it doesn't say at all that I'm not going to experience any problems. In fact, it says that we are. But when we experience affliction, God experiences with us. He extends his love and tenderness, and you know what else? It bonds us to him. So God says that in that time, in that crazy period, that no matter what, I'm still with you. I'm still saving you and helping you to get through your circumstance. So let's think about it for a second. We have crazy experiences that most likely are of evil. And then you have sometimes good experiences. But in all those contexts, not once though is God saying that he enjoys having us go through those evil experiences. As I stated before in the previous scripture, it shows him being angry at those who pursue evil. Again, God is not one who wants us to experience evil, but he is one that once we are in those experiences, that he's going to be there with us, and he's going to shower us with his love and tenderness. He doesn't want us to be destroyed by evil, but he does care about our well-being, and he does want to use those circumstances to teach us and train us and mature us. Okay, I say that. Let's go back to my story with my job. In the office after I cried, my boss continued to tell me that I was placed on probation So as I stated, I didn't get fired, but I was placed on probation. Once I left her office, I was so distraught about what happened that I cried all the way to my desk. It was so pitiful. It was like a little just hurt. But as I was making it to my desk, I saw a coworker who had a Bible on her desk. I looked at it, and she looked at me, and she noticed that I was crying. So she asked, "What is going on?" And I was about to tell her. I said, "My boss," and she stopped me. She's like, "We're not going to do that here. Let's go to lunch." So I waited earnestly, waited, and then a couple hours later, finally got to lunch. So I told her everything that happened. I'm crying, still, shame, never stopped. Apparently I had a disorder, it's called a cry disorder. It was backed up from all those years. But anyways, I'm crying, I'm telling her what happened. Now she talked to me and told me that basically I was incompetent on drugs and all those things. And then after I started my boo-hooing, she looked at me very sternly and she stated, "You do not know who you are." I said, "Huh?" She said, "You do not know that you are God's child. And you definitely don't have any faith." And I was like, that's all I can say. And I listened, and she was right. I definitely didn't walk around like I own the place and that I'm with God and together we're doing all these great things. Nope. So a couple of weeks later, they started to have a Bible study class during our lunch hour once a week. I went. And the lesson that she did every week, the same lesson, was about faith. And she stated, "Well, somebody needs this lesson. We all know that it was about me." And it was true. In that terrible circumstance, one of the things that God wanted me to see and know was to have faith that He was in control, that He had power. So He used that poor experience to mold my character, to help me to see that there was greater things in store. In fact, He cared more about my righteousness than my happiness. He cared more about me being closer to Him, bonding to Him. Because during that period, I learned how to believe and do everything through Him. That was the most I ever prayed. Like I touched the keyboard, "God, please be with me," as I touched the keyboard. Again, because God wanted to bond with me. We go through things. We have trials, tribulations, we hurt. But one thing that I want you guys to know more than anything is that we have a God who loves us. He may not remove us from a situation, but He's with us and He wants us to mature and grow and learn from it. I leave you with this. We will have drama. We will experience pain and affliction. That's just reality. But one of the things that I want to leave you with about God's character is, first of all, He does not like sin. He doesn't think that we deserve to be treated poorly and that He's afflicting us within it. That's not His character. Instead, when we do experience things, He's there with us. He wants to encourage us, love us, feed us with our tenderness. And you may say, "Kimere, I heard you say this like 2 minutes ago." And you said it 2 minutes ago. That is true. I'm reiterating this because I feel like sometimes God gets the short end of the stick. It's easy to blame Him because we know He's powerful, but God also wants to help us to mature and grow. So during those times, please remember that He's walking with you. Please remember that He's molding your character as well. Also remember, like my story, that He was calling me to faith. And while I was growing in my faith, He was bonding with me. He was loving me. The recall remains to return to Him during conflict. Sometimes we think He doesn't understand and He doesn't care. He does. So much so that He feels it too. Yes. So when I'm crying and boo-hooing, He's crying and boo-hooing with me, saying my child is hurting. But He's a Father who knows that it won't last forever. Again, let Him embrace you, fill you with His love and tenderness, and let us return to Him during conflict. Of course. See, you thought I was going to forget. I didn't. Of course, we just started the conversation. Please go to ahealingpeace.com to get the companion workbook to the things that we talked about today. We hope that it will encourage you during your journey and really see God working despite all the craziness that you're going through. Because He wants you to know that He's there with you. And of course, I forgot to, I didn't, leave us some feedback. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what other conversations that you want to have with us. See you next time.